Your life isn't shitty enough for you to change, and that's the problem. One of the most quietly agonizing feelings in your 20s is this strange in-between. You're not falling apart, but you're not thriving either. You have things to be grateful for, a steady job, people who love you, a decent apartment, but deep down, you're unsettled, you're uninspired, you're stuck. You tell yourself it could be worse, and that's exactly why you do nothing about it. You're not miserable in your job, but it drains you. You're not heartbroken, but your relationship leaves you wanting more. You're not alone, but your friendships feels like the echoes of what they used to be. So instead of making a change, you coast. You scroll, you vent, you romanticize an alternative version of yourself that somehow has more energy, more clarity, more courage. But you stay right where you are. Maybe it's lack of discipline, maybe you're just burnt out. Or maybe, and hear me out, it's because your life is too okay for you to actually do something about it. Lately, I've been obsessed with this idea. Sometimes hitting rock bottom is actually the best thing that can happen to you. Hear me out. This is called the region beta paradox. Social psychologist Daniel Gilbert coined it to explain why we stay stuck in situations that are just okay. When something is mildly uncomfortable, it doesn't feel bad enough to change. But when it gets really bad, that's when we actually take action. Think about a job that pays well, but your boss sucks and there's no growth. It's not awful, so you stay. But if it got just a little worse, you quit, pivot, and level up. I felt this in my past relationships. I stayed in ones that were just fine for years, but if he had cheated, I would have walked away instantly. That's the paradox. Professor Gilbert says the worse you feel, the more your brain fights back. But if it only kinda sucks, just sit in it, stuck. This is like the frog in the boiling water story. Drop a frog in boiling water, it jumps out, but heat it up slowly, it stays there and dies. Comfort can kill change. So if you're going through something hard right now, maybe that is your way out. I feel like everyone talks about being stuck in their 20s, especially right after you graduate college. You leave your town, you leave your home, you leave your friends, your routine. Everything in life just feels so different. I think during this period, there's just so much change happening, so it's much easier to stay in your comfort zone than to do something that brings you out of it. So as a result, a lot of people, including myself, become really complacent. Something that I've recently been fascinated by is I feel like negative emotion is the biggest motivator for change. When you're happy, when you're like, oh my god, life is so great, nothing really changes because you want nothing to change, right? So you don't really grow as a person. But it's only through negative emotion, fear, sadness, heartbreak, when you're like, I need to do some shit about my life. And I feel like people often run away from negative emotion, especially I feel like I do. I really don't want to experience pain. I don't want to experience hurt, grief, sadness, but it truly is a part of just the human experience. It's just a different texture of it. So instead of thinking that negative emotions drain you completely and is the worst thing in the world and you should run away from it, you should flip the narrative. Maybe rock bottom is the best thing that could happen to you, you know? I feel like, at least for me, it usually is. Getting dumped, getting rejected has always led to something better. I want to make a note here before we go into the rest of the video that I know that not everyone has the privilege to walk away from a hard situation. This video is solely about moments that just feel fine, and that is the reason why it's holding us back. It's not meant to ignore real systemic challenges. It's mainly just to reflect on the quieter ones, obviously the less extreme ones. I'm not talking about horrible situations where people just can't walk away. So after I graduated college, I moved directly to New York City. This is my first time walking into my apartment. And I've been here for the past year, and summer in New York City is always amazing. I feel like it is such a magical time. Everyone's out and about, you meet so many different people. But I spent my first winter here, and that's when it definitely was more isolating. I feel like when I first moved here, I didn't have a solid friend group. I wasn't in a relationship. I basically lived alone because my sister was never home because she just worked so much. During the winter months, I felt super isolated and alone and just disconnected. I felt like I didn't have a lot of human connection. I remember once I went to the Guggenheim by myself because I was just I need to get out of the house and I just need to feel something again. And I was just super sad. There's just this lack of connection that I've been feeling with people in general, you know, because it was fucking cold as shit out, and I had I just felt I didn't really have deep connections in my life. Social connection and friendships, relationships are the most important thing, the thing that brings me the most happiness. So just the lack of that made me feel super, super alone. And I feel I am someone that is good at being alone as well, but I always need something to look forward to on the weekend, and I just didn't have that. A lot of weekends I would just spend home just watching TV. During this time, I think I was also very unhappy with my career. I just felt like very not motivated by the videos I was posting. I was posting a lot more like fashion videos back then, and I honestly just like wasn't proud of the content I was putting out. I remember the thing that got me into social media, I felt so proud of the content that I was putting out, and I was like, I want everyone to know about this, because I know like the biggest barrier for people a lot is like, oh, like what are people gonna think about me, like this is so cringe, like blah blah blah. But like when I first started social media, I was genuinely proud. I was like, I want people to see this, like I want my friends to know about this, like I'm posting this on all my socials, like whatever. But you know, after doing it for 4 years and after you monetize something that you loved, it changes. And I feel like I was really trying to figure out different ways to grow. I'm posting like dumb glow up videos, I'm posting like fashion videos that contribute no value to society. Let's talk about romantic relationships, okay? At that time, I was still like talking to my ex. We had broken up at that time, but I think both of us were in new cities and we were just still talking to each other because it was the easy thing to do. My romantic relationship was like non-existent because I was like in this limbo of not going on new dates, not getting back together with my ex, but just talking to each other for company. Just generally, that period of my life was very like, I don't want to say it was like a super low point in my life, like I wasn't like depressed or anything, but I think it was just like void of color. Like it was just so bland, so like I didn't wake up excited. But like nothing particularly was like that bad either, because it's not like I had absolutely no friends. I still had friends, I just didn't feel extremely connected to them. I had a career, I was making money, I was able to afford this life in New York, but I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. I still had some romantic thing going on in my life, but it just wasn't what I necessarily like have always dreamed of when I think about love. And this is when I started just doing like a lot of reflecting. I started listening to a lot of podcasts, reading a lot of Substack articles, just becoming a sponge and trying to absorb everything in. And I stumbled upon the topic of today's video, the beta region paradox. So I gave you guys a little spiel in the beginning, but let me explain some more of it. The paradox suggests that sometimes a worse situation can be more motivating for change than a slightly uncomfortable one. So it's called the region beta paradox because region beta is the area of tolerable discomfort where people stay stuck because the situation isn't bad enough to trigger a strong response, but it's also not good enough to inspire proactive change. This paradox highlights that intense discomfort can be a catalyst for action and positive change, while mild discomfort can lead to complacency and stagnation, breaking the cycle. By understanding this paradox, individuals can identify situations where they might be stuck in region beta and take steps to break free, potentially through setting clear intentions, practicing self-compassion, and visualizing success. So the question becomes, how do we get out of region beta? Step 1, understand what keeps you there. The region beta paradox hinges on this concept. When something is bad, you take action. When something is mediocre, you endure. So step 1 is identifying the areas in your life where you're just stuck in mediocre, where things don't necessarily suck, but they're not great and you're just dissatisfied. Step 2, reframe mild discomfort as urgent. If the discomfort is tolerable, your brain won't sound the alarm. You have to manually raise the stakes. So ask yourself, if I keep doing exactly what I'm doing right now, where will I be in 6 months, a year? Would I be happy if this was still my life 5 years from now? Doom scroll on your phone every day for 5 hours, not working out, feeling like a complete shit blob every single fucking day. Step 3, use contrast as a wake-up call. Sometimes you just need to do things just to do things and to get out of your comfort zone. Travel alone, spend time with someone that inspires you, immerse yourself in like a new environment, or think back, read your old journals, reconnect with the old version of yourself that was more happy, that felt more fulfilled. Contrast breeds clarity. When you step out of region beta temporarily, you remember what it feels like. Take tiny steps before you're ready. Like if you have a situationship that kind of sucks, don't wait until he dumps you to leave. Just leave. If you hate your job right now, don't wait until you get laid off or your boss fires you. Start looking for new jobs right now. So start small. Have one uncomfortable conversation, one job application, one workout. You don't need a full plan to get out. You don't need to immediately just like, I need to dump my whole life over again and get a new one. You just need enough momentum to remind yourself that change is possible. Ultimately, the core shift that you need to make is you can't wait until it's unbearable to make a change. But the point of this is just to motivate you to take a closer look at your life and the reasons why you might feel unhappy, why you might feel stuck, and just remind you that it's possible to get out of it. It's possible to be happy and fulfilled, and these times will pass, you know. It always does. Just remember that you don't have to wait for your life to fall apart completely to start rebuilding it. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this different style of video. Let me know what you guys think. As always, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time.